can assure you that his presentation is deep, chock full of some vital learnings. I think you're going to find it very insightful as he digs a little deeper into supplier collaboration and the quest for ideal sourcing excellence. So, Joel.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I would have thought you guys did a lot of work on the speakers before me, setting me up for my topic. I mean, I heard keywords like, that's my presentation, that's my presentation. Well, actually, I'm just here to share with you my experience, and I think a lot of you probably echo a lot. The pains you're going through with sourcing, the challenges, the upheaval changes in the supply chain. I think you all know that. You can be up here and share a lot of your testimonies as well. So I'm Joe Ma. I'm with Hallmark Cards. And maybe a little bit about myself. I was born in Hong Kong long time ago. Got gray hair to show that. And I studied and lived in the U.S. More than half of my lifetime. And I have been with Hallmark Card more than 27 years, actually. Not 7, but 27. I know I look young. And I've been involved in supply chain management more than 25 years. And actually at Hallmark, I had the oversight of product development, engineering, sourcing, and program execution, as well as innovation. So those are all important, critical, and I think all of you touch on all those. That's why you're the expert as well with the supply chain management. Currently, I'm responsible for business strategy to really help Hallmark from our sourcing standpoint, how to watch out, monitor, and also looking into the future. How should we set ourselves up so that we are more efficient, but also competitive? And the key is here, winning competition, right? But sometimes we do have this misnotion. We look at our suppliers as our competitors. We negotiate hard. We drive them to lowest cost, rock bottom cost as much as possible. To be honest, I think you've heard it. There's no rock bottom cost. Come on, let's not joke around. But if we look at it differently, our suppliers, actually, they are our partners. So that's what I'm going to talk about today with the topic, how we win competitions through supplier collaboration. And a lot of the speakers before me mentioned about collaborative, right, supply chain process, mechanism. We talk about transparency. We'll be covered in that. So if we look at the world right now, I think a recent survey report done by the A.T. Kearney, and you all know A.T. Kearney, they identified uncertainties with global developments right now, what's going on. You guys are very familiar. The rising populism and protectionism. And we know what that means. What it means that it will impact the global trade, the cross-border flow of goods or services, well, because people trying to protect their own interests, okay? And nothing wrong about that, but what it does is create an implication of what the world may look like. So with this kind of impact, that's definitely affecting our trade, moving goods around. And it does feel that, well, there's some kind of disruptive change is in order so that we can handle this new global reality, right? And the second one is about technology. Well, we talk a lot about it. Digitization in the supply chain, AI, RPA. Now, these are all the words you should be familiar with, right, if you're involved in supply chain management. Well, what does that mean? Well, technology advancement are good, but then it's a double-edged sword. They're so good, they also expose you to risk. We know about cyber attack, right? Hacking, all that is going on every day. So how do we balance that? It really gives us a lot of headache keeping you up, in the night. It creates a business operations challenge. So another one is what we call the changing consumer trends. Well, we all know the population of millennials, they are surpassing that of the baby boomers. And I'm the baby boomer, I think I am. So there are a lot of potential challenges, different set of needs. Are we addressing those? I think this morning the first speaker, Jay, mentioned about, well, the millennials, they look for different things. So the changing trend, what does that mean to us even affecting the way we do our sourcing activities, right? So one thing you probably also observe, because of the connected consumerism, they call this A.T. Kearney's word, while we use social media. If something people don't like about it, guess what? Very fast, like fire, immediately globally, people will know through Facebook, through other social media venue. So that means they're also affecting our shared economy. So what does that mean to us? We may need to come up with very dynamic and innovative business models. So not the same old traditional, even our sourcing stages and process. And of course, the voice of the consumer and customer is getting louder and louder. They're telling you, we don't like this. Or yes, we love it. Can you give us more? So I think as retail and brand, you guys are paying a lot of attention, right? Either through online or even in store. You try to collect that kind of data. What's happening, in the world? Well, this kind of created, and earlier Lynn introduced it to you, so I'll steal her thunder. It's really getting into a VUCA world, and this is the second time, so you should know by the end of today what it means. VUCA world is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and I'll correct a little bit, is the ambiguity. So VUCA world, and as Lynn pointed out, it was a term introduced by the Army War College in the US. So they use it to describe the multilateral world right at the end of the Cold War. When Cold War was over, suddenly, oh, what's going on? We don't know what to expect next. So that's what it means. So then you look at the challenges faced by consumer products industry. I think most of us are here in this industry. If you look at that, there are kind of multiple challenges. And actually, this is done by Deloitte. Yeah, they share. The first one was about decline in brand loyalty. And earlier, I think Jane also mentioned too. Actually, the research discovered 30% of the brand product consumer buy, they consider must-have brands. That means what? The other 70 is what? Easily substitutable. Meaning they can look at, well, I don't really need this brand. I can still buy the other kind, serve the same purpose. Well, that's very, very low percentage of brand loyalty, 30% of the products. And what happened is that the consumers now, they are trying to go after, does this brand help express me? I'm concerned about health. I'm concerned about well-being. I'm concerned about safety and corporate citizenship, as well as transparency. Now, by the end of today, you should have a few keywords repeating and repeating. Those should be going home. You should feel like, oh, wow, I got all these nuggets today. So the transparency, that's what people feel like, well, I want to know what this brand stands for. So there is a decline in that. And the second one was uncertainty about consumer spending. And we all know consumers now, in majority, they're more cautious about how and where to spend and on what to spend their precious earned income. Well, not just US. I mean, even though I'm from US and Hong Kong, and I'm kind of mixed everywhere. But people are very careful about their money because hard-earned money and the wage increase, that trend is not catching up with the inflation and price increase and all that. So they try to balance that. Then the next one is increased regulatory scrutiny. Well, just naming US, we all know that. People are concerned about food safety. So guess what? Everything got to pass a certain thing. Everything got to be checked. So then I think SGS have a very great business potential in the future. We all know that it's going to grow with testing, with certification, auditing. That's very important. And so when we look at this, and not just US, I mean, even in EU, I think they are doing the implementation of a GDPR, General Product Protection Regulation, right, in next May. So a lot of companies have to get ready when people giving you information. How do you protect that consumers' information? Yeah. So then another one. This is to my heart. Ineffective innovation capabilities. Now this really driving home when we talk about product innovation, right? That's how you fund your growth, your potential growth. So a couple slides here. I'm not going to talk individual example. I think a lot of you may not be familiar with them. that's these are a little bit dated, like in the 2000, 2007, 2004. And you look at like these products, a lot of them, because of bad timing, they didn't prepare for the potential growth after they launched. That's the first example. So then they have to switch to a bigger mass production location or manufacturer, and the manufacturer wasn't ready with the quality. So guess what? Bad. Now they're doing better, but then they hurt them big time. So then Windows Vista, when it was launched also, they weren't planning on a lot of the capability. They weren't really soft yet, but they launched it. So too quick. And then the Coca-Cola C2, I didn't even know. How many of you have heard that? Coca-Cola C2? Then you can tell how quick they pulled it back. Right? Because they were hoping, they heard the consumer, which is male. They were trying to come up with this for the male consumer. The male consumer was like, I would like to have the original Coca-Cola taste, but I want zero the calories and also zero sugar. So what did Coca-Cola come up with? Original Coca-Cola taste, half calories and half sugar. So guess what? That's not what we want. Forget it. Yeah. So another one, which is Febreze scent stories. And I think you know what Febreze does, right? They give you the beautiful, nice smell, around the area. Well, for some reason, the company came up with one. They combine a CD player, play music, and Febreze. Now you laugh, right? You laugh. I don't know what they were thinking back then. Because you're like, so consumer, look at this. What is this? Is it a CD player? Or is it a scent diffuser? They confuse, right? So a lot of ambiguity. Well, the last one, I think we all know Segway, right? When it was first launched, nobody bought it. It was so expensive. But it was great revolution, right? So now they only, I think, security companies, maybe around the White House, those markets. So it's not for the general public. Again, so we come up with innovation. Well, what does it do? Well, actually, the consumer product industry is a very sizable industry. So in 2016, actually the industry size is estimated at 650 billion US dollar. Now in the ASEAN country, it's forecasted to reach US $770 billion just in ASEAN country by 2020. So you can imagine the growth of consumer goods. That's why we're all involved in this, retail and brand. It's a very sizable industry. And to me, consumer product is all around us, right? We eat, drink, wear, we sleep, we communicate, our phone, we entertain. It's all around us. There's no way you can get away from it, But then also it has a very high probability of new product launch failures. Actually, it's based on one research. They were saying 75% of the new product launches, they failed to earn $7.5 million in the first year. So a lot of them just disappear after the first year or even less than first year. So there's very high risk of a new product launch and to be successful. This kind of causing me to think about, well, a lot of companies, they're trying to tap into the external resources now. Why? Because you have limited resource. I think some people share the notion that, well, my boss just asked me how to trim the budget for next year, right? Cutting headcount or shrinking the office size, whatever fixed costs we can reduce as much as possible. So what we need to do, look outside. For example, our strategic suppliers. How do we tap into their resource, and that way we can work together for new product development? And this leads into the buyer-supply relationship management. And that's my passion about supply relationship management. Because I believe supply relationship management, if you put effort in, you do it in the right way, it will help you, the new product development, through the supply collaboration. So then you see it here. Supply collaboration is supposed to create value. Now, I might paint it a little bit longer term, which is true. You don't just like hoping to get immediate return, saving, and done. Most sourcing organization, their number one priority is what? Cost saving. You are being measured by what? Cost saving. Don't tell me your boss didn't care how much saving you have, right? That's number one. But then kind of get your vision onto what? Short term, maybe a year. Or maybe now I need to turn in my saving target. So please help me, supplier. Well, guess what? Your supplier help you, but may not give you everything because they have to protect their own too, right? So then you might say, well, what are the benefits of supply collaboration? Supply collaboration are many things. To me, if you look at these, we all want lower cost, better quality, minimize the risk exposure. Now, why? Because you'll hear a little bit. We're working with supplier. How does that help us lower the risk? Speed to market. Am I stealing from somebody's speech this morning? Darn it. I try to avoid that. I don't know why. Leveraging suppliers' techno capabilities and resource. Remember I mentioned earlier, we don't have all the unlimited resources, correct? So we need to partner with someone. I just shared at the break time with a couple of newly met friends. Hi, Louise and Louise. And I was saying that, actually a lot of times we look at our relationship with supplier in the wrong lens. We feel like we have to make sure we negotiate the best cost for us. So we're basically treating our supplier almost like a competitor. You come up with better idea, I come up with better rejection. I want it lower. But what if we look at them as part of us? Our competition should be out there, am I right? Not within our supply chain, right? That's silly. We spend a lot of energy and time competing with our own partner. That's kind of silly, So you look at that, well, maybe our supplier has the techno capabilities we don't have. Why don't we partner together and leverage their resource? And of course, all this supply collaboration hopefully will lead to new product innovation, and that help us to grow our business and establish a competitive advantage to win. We're not here just to play along and just hope the business will go well and it will weather out all the challenges, labor cost increase, material cost increase, paper, in China, all that. We have a purpose here for longer term. Now, the challenges with supply collaboration is very interesting. I'm just going to share this one story. It's like a fishing metaphor. And to me, I think it speaks everything about every day we're engaged in almost like fishing. Now, some people, after I first time share this story, they walk up to me, individually, they say, hey, I'm not a fish. But I say, but you got the point. So the story is like this. Suppliers are like fish in the ocean, and we, the buyers or the retailer, are like the fishermen. And the key challenge facing us is how to put out the right bait. Okay? Right bait. So that we can pull up the right suppliers at the right time and get them to help us develop our products. Several problems. Are we using the right bait? Right? Think about that. Second one, are there the right kinds of fish in the water where we're fishing? Oh my gosh, we're fishing in the wrong pond or wrong ocean. What are we doing, right? Next one. So after we pull out from the water, there's a fish. Is it the right kind of fish for us? Do we keep it or do we throw it back in the water? Oh no, we spend all that effort, right? Supply development. Oh my God, there's a lot of resource. Our engineering team, our quality team, our merchandising team, procurement team, spending all the money negotiating. Oh, didn't work out. Sorry. And the last but not the least. So how do we know the fish? Yeah, we think it's the right fish. Will follow through with a commitment and collaborate with us, cooperate with us. How do we know that? Now, this is not my story. Actually, it's by a group researcher, Peterson et al. So you can tell, Lena and I, we kind of have some common reason here. We're part of the CDU DBA program. But this is my passion, and I want to share with you. It's an interesting story to me. It's very to the point, this fishing metaphor about the challenges of supply collaboration. So supply collaboration, it means many things. It means different things to different companies, to you personally. And it involves a lot of different levels of commitment. And also, it changes the way how we do our business, how the business is managed. And it involves also the alignment of organizational cultures. This is one part that in previous research, they have not done much on this, is how the organizational culture between the supplier and the buying organization, how they impact each other. Now, most of the time, we only talk about this is what I want. Can you give me what I want? And when I want? Quality, all that. Done. No discussion. Well, the organizational culture dictates a lot of things. And also, the supply collaboration can help us to cultivate and sustain trust and knowledge sharing. Now, I'm stealing from somebody again this morning. I think just now Robert mentioned about trust. That's the key in establishing supply collaboration. Hopefully, we as the buyer becoming what? The customer of choice for our supplier, right? I think in the past, we will focus a lot on supply of choice, meaning the supplier work very hard, try to gain ground into our office and get business. But nowadays, I think that power has shifted. We have to work side by side together. So how can we, the buyer or buying organization, becoming the customer of choice of our key, especially strategic supplier? That's very important. So the levels of supply collaboration, if you look at this diagram, well, buyer, supplier, in the middle, that's integration. So a lot of supply collaboration, they done through integration. Now, based on one definition, Das et al., say integration is motivated by the recognition of interdependency. Now, earlier when I quoted the example, we treat a supplier like, I'm telling you what I want, one way. I don't need you. I don't know whether you would say that to some of your key strategic suppliers now. I think you would rather recognize, hey, can we work together, solve this? The problem's out there, and it hurt both of us. So what can we do to solve it together, to win this together? So the interdependency is being recognized. The levels of supply responsibility will impact and determine the types of supply collaboration. So there are 4 different types. And you know these, you recognize these. First one, well, there's no supply involvement at all. We basically, OEM, right, a lot of the companies, we design it, we spec it. So now supplier, take it and produce it for me. I don't need you to think more than that, okay? Well, the second one is a little bit higher. Well, there's some informal supply involvement. So I may sit down with the supplier and get some feedback from them, their engineer or their technical people, and share some insight, but not formally. And then, of course, the next level, you formalize that activity, that function, that process. You have joint product development priorities set up or activities set up. So then each one, supplier and buyer, you know exactly what I'm responsible for with this project. And we work together on that. Of course, the ultimate level is that, you know what, supplier? I know my destination is Mont Cobb, Codus Hotel. How to get there? What's the best way? What's the most cost-effective way? You take charge. You know where I want to go. I want this product. I want it does this and that. I want that. And then you help me. So that's the fully responsible model in that relationship. Now, earlier I mentioned about the alignment of organizational culture is so critical because a lot of times that our culture, I think you all know what culture means. But first, before I say it, you heard of this, right? Culture eats strategy for lunch. If you have not heard of it, you just did. Culture eats strategy for lunch. Now, my wife explained to me what that means is overwhelm the other priorities, meaning however we define our own culture internally or externally, that dictate how we react, what we look for, what we focus on. So the internal culture of an organization, you all know these. Leadership, personality of your organization, some of the shared beliefs, values, and norms, assumptions. Oh, at our company, we don't do this. Or at our company, we encourage this. that will dictate or change, influence how you collaborate with your supplier. Now, of course, the last one is important. Also, it impacts our attitude toward what? Trust and knowledge sharing. In a bit, I'll share about these two key factors or variables in this whole picture of supply collaboration. Now, the proper alignment of organizational cultures will help you this. Increase productivity, engagement from both sides of the staff, and also performance, right? The success of the supply collaboration and new product development really depend on that. I would call that as an enabler. So the alignment of organizational culture enables those goals. Now I mentioned about trust and knowledge sharing. So if you look at this, there's some research been done on it. Actually, a lot of academicians already did work on it. And there's a theory called social capital theory. It touched on trust and knowledge sharing. If you look at the diagram on the left, so they believe in an organization, there are a lot of social capital in your company, in your work group, a lot of social capital. Those are relational. So if you look at like, there's the trust and safety, there's a reciprocity, participation, all these exist within your organization, within your group. So how do we facilitate or manage these relationships? It will affect how we collaborate with outsider or supplier. Another one is, so you look at trust and supply collaboration, it takes part in many parts of the organization, up and down every level. Actually, it is working like that. And then the knowledge sharing and supply collaboration. The knowledge sharing could take place formally, informally. And again, different levels of staff can be partnering with the supplier on technical support, technical transfer as well. Now, knowledge sharing, there's another theory for that. That's it. I'm just using two theories, so don't worry. This theory is called resource-based view theory. So what they mean is that within an organization or a company, you possess some valuable, rare, non-substitutable resource. Those are the ones give you your core competitive advantage and you want to protect. But there's something else that you may not have, but your supplier has. And they can complement with your effort on new product development or supply collaboration. So that's what it means. So what you have will help you create sustainable competitive advantages, right? Because what you have, your strength, your core competency that other people may not have or as strong. And you want to protect those. And also this theory help us study the collaborative work between buyer and supplier. And it's been done by researcher. What we need to do is to protect our own core competencies and engage external resource for something else that we're not as worried. But then they possess, they can help us on this collaboration effort. Now, so here I'm going to share with you this chart. It's just you might call it a strategic tool, give you the mindset to think about. So I call this a SRM, and everybody knows SRM, the supply relationship management, and then also introducing lean migration map into this. So you are down there, the bottom left corner, the current state, and you really want to get up to the ideal state up on top right, the sourcing excellence. And these different lines, I just outlined it, from the left to the right, you have strategy and governance. So you set it up within your sourcing organization. And you have supply performance management. Everybody measure the supply, how well they perform, how poor they perform, right? And then organizational structure. How do you structure your sourcing group, your procurement group, and the people? At Hallmark, we call people our asset. Very, very important. So how do we put them in this map to help us get there? And then, of course, process and technology, system, IT. Those are important. So what might happen, maybe a lot of your companies are similar like this. You will focus on what? Cost, right? We all say, oh yeah, that's my number one priority, cost reduction. And then on supply performance, you focus on some basic KPIs. And normal is one way. I measure you, supplier. Don't tell me. I measure you. on time, cost, innovation, quality, how many times you deliver late, and what's the, we call it what, incoming, shipment quality check to see LAR, yeah, we call it LAR, lot acceptance rate. How many got rejected, right? And then also we may have one person in our organization, one or a small team. You are the dedicated resource to handle SRM and lean, and then everybody else do their own thing, right? We have that. You guys laughing? Is this true in your company too? Is it true? Yes. Oh wow, I guess right. It happened to us. It happened to us. And then we have different level of competencies within our sourcing organization. So on people, you see that. Not very systematic, not very future thinking. And then we have some processes with our IT system, EDI, mass transit. I think you all have that. But what we're saying is that, you know what, we need to get up there, right? Instead of cost reduction focus, we need to look at value creation. What have we brought to this whole supply chain process that we are adding value? Very important. And then also co-create, not just one way. We got to work with our key strategic supplier, develop shared objectives so they know where we need to be and how can they help us and become their objectives internally, our supplier. Work together. Of course, the SRM lean, that should be embedded with our procurement teams. Everybody should be a lean agent. Everybody should pay attention to maintaining or even growing our strategic relationship with strategic supplier, right? And then the expected job competencies, all that. Recently, I was at a procurement summit, and they point out some keywords, and some of the presenters share too. Predictive analysis. How many of our sourcing staff, they're focusing on execution, cost saving, versus gathering intelligence data to come up with analysis, look out to the future. What are the signals, And I think with some of the tools now coming up can help us a lot. And then real-time exchange, right? We need to think about the real-time exchange. So to summarize, I'm just going to hit it all. Supply collaboration takes time, focus, and resource, but it's powered by trust and knowledge sharing. It will enable with the aligned organizational cultures. To me, I think it's a more sustainable path to longer-term improved performance. Even though in the beginning you might feel like, oh, what a pain. But guess what? You will reap the benefit when you invest in it, and the right fish, the right strategic suppliers, they invest in it, you see the outcome. Now, to me, it's important, direct and contributing role to new product development, and it's better deployment of our valuable and sometimes limited internal resources, right, for new product development. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all the skill set. Why don't we leverage our strategic suppliers? What they have can help us get there together. And to me, of course, supply collaboration will help you get or build competitive advantages, right, over our competitors. And of course, what do we want? We want to be winner. Everybody wants to be a winner. And here, I need your help. I think this morning when Eric introduced it, well, there's a survey. You don't have to do it right now, but I really need your help because you guys are the expert. You are involved heavily with figuring out new product, how to partnering with your supplier. So the purpose of my survey is to collect some of your actual example already, empirical data related to supply collaboration experience you have with new product development. Now, who should participate? Actually, anybody in your company involved in new product development, in sourcing, supply chain innovation. Of course, I would love to have the people who've been involved in a lot. That way you can share more of your experience through the survey. How to participate? Here's the URL, but I think CBX will send out this info specific link to you. And I hope you can help me because I will share back if you want. If you leave me your email address in the survey, I will send you the executive summary of my finding. To me, I think there are a lot of positive opportunities here, but sometimes we feel like that's too hard to think too much. I need to deal with today, my cost reduction or cost increase. Oh my gosh, how can I push it back down this month or this year? It's coming toward the end of the year now. The target's not hit yet, you know. So leave you with this one last slide. Charles Darwin shared, in the long history of humankind, those who learned to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. And you can sense my passion. And my passion is genuine, authentic. I really feel that if we learn how to work with each other better, we can win together instead of, well, wait a minute, I want to protect my own margin, so supplier, give me the best. So thank you very much. And here's my contact info. In case you want to reach me directly, share your example, your experience, so I can learn from you as well. So I think this is a learning environment. That's why I really appreciate CBX today, Tim and Eric and Mark. They helped me a lot in my goal, first time meeting. Really appreciate having this opportunity to share my passion. And I deeply believe in our supply chain management field, we need disruptive changes, transformation in terms of mindset. If we're repeating what we've been doing, then we know where we're getting. Same place. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Yep.